1,000 gold lead. Not just Fnatic Academy usually. That's only about 100 duck sizes. Okay. Now, Kinguin are waiting to pick some bans once again. I want to see a little bit more inventiveness. In all honesty, Kinguin won last properly with a Nocturne comp. Give me something aggressive. Give me something all guns blazing and beat Fnatic in the early game.
Now who's the passionate one telling them what they want from their team? Jesus. Now, all I want to see is some great League of Legends.
Well, I'm sure we're going to see that. LeBlanc banned out, Rengar, Lulu as well. Fnatic Academy deciding exactly what they want to take away next. It's the Varus, unsurprisingly. Kinguin will probably go for the first pick, Jhin, if it's left open, and then we'll see how Fnatic play around that. Camille's got through every pick and ban thus far. Shen's got through a lot of them as well.
I like how confident you are in the Jhin first pick.
It's Woolite.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
But it's also the fact that regardless, the fact is, what else has been left available? We've seen a large dip off of Kha'Zix ever since this changes. Lee Sin is actually up as well. Maybe we see Tabasco on the Lee Sin. I
think he's got Lee Sin and he's got Kha'Zix, and he's got Graves still left open. So I don't think it's first pick. It's possible we will see it picked.
Forget the yeah. But obviously, I'm talking about like next few picks. Right?
Okay.
Well,
like,
there's no way Jhin is not going to get first pick in this scenario.
There we go. Jhin is first pick, as you say. It's interesting though, because in a lot of other regions we see Ashe as a high priority as well.
But it's Ashe Karma. That's the main one, right? Because Jhin is usually more valued than Ashe is per se. But if you have Ashe Karma, that's the comp that people really like because of how powerful the 2v2 pushing lane actually is. So, well, it's not really surprised that the response is going to be the Ashe.
Yeah. Although it didn't work too well for Kinguin in the last game, and Amazing might get his Lee Sin. You know what I would love to see here from Kinguin as a response if this is locked in? Take the Tahm Kench off, so you play into the Ashe really well, and you've got Jhin Tahm Kench, and then take a strong jungler. I think Kha'Zix, I think Graves, in all honesty, works pretty well in this combination.
I just don't want to see any more Graves. I want to see early ganking. Oh, Nocturne. There's the Nocturne hover.
He played this thrice in their CSQ games.
Thrice. He played it. I know, I love that. I love thrice. Great word.
In their playoff games, in their qualifier games, he played this 3 times, and they won every single time with this great dive composition. It coincides so well with the
Shen's
Jhin.
Open, Tahm Kench is open.
Take the Nocturne, man. Oh, you could take Shen now.
Get a Nocturne later.
And get a Nocturne next rotation.
Yeah. It would be great. Fnatic Academy, though, bear in mind, Rumble is open. Camille, Gangplank, Fiora, a lot of strong laners that would work very nicely into the Shen. But
it's going to be Renekton instead. It is alongside the Tahm Kench, though.
And it will give Ice Beasto an opportunity to really show off his stuff. Like, I thought that Ice Beasto was a pretty exciting individual to watch coming into Challenger Series because he showed that even on tanks, he's very similar to what Kikis is now, right? Where even on tanks, he was making these aggressive moves. He was, as an individual, outplaying his opponent, being really valuable in his team. But we're really yet to see him have that same sort of impact. And I think it backtracks what you were talking about, the Tabasco, Ice Beasto combo. Like, it's kind of fallen off. Where is it? Why is there no more investment into that top side of the map?
Well, in CSQ, I was talking about him as possibly like a miniature Alphari, a baby Alphari, with the aggression he had in the top lane and his ability just to dominate lane. But since then, he's fallen off a huge amount, as you say. His KDA is halved between CSQ and Challenger Series, and as much as it's not all about, you know, how many kills and assists you get, that is indicative of Ice Beasto's playstyle. He's an aggressive top laner who has not had the chance to be aggressive. Now, Karma is the pick, so it is the Ashe Karma bot lane that you were saying, and now at least banned out alongside the Gragas from Kinguin.
So next, if you're Fnatic Academy, they may very well actually ban out Nocturne. Feels bad, man.
Well, it's understandable though, because you're less fearful of that. You're more fearful of that than you are of the Graves. Tabasco will probably go for his Graves here. Fnatic are looking towards that top lane, something safe into the Renekton.
I mean, we could maybe see something a little more aggressive, like a Nidalee. Maybe.
Wait, Nidalee top?
No, for Kinguin.
Oh, for Kinguin.
Nidalee,
I was so confused.
Nidalee jungle. So we were talking about junglers, like, and you mentioned the Graves. So I thought maybe something more aggressive for Tabasco would be better. Oh, what a shock. Top lane tank for Kickers.
It's, I mean, you say what a shock, but he could have played something aggressive into the Renekton matchup.
I think it's such a gamble, though, because you don't want to pick a carry into Renekton because that's who Renekton typically does the best into early laning phase. So you're better off just picking a scaling tank that will eventually do more than what the Renekton can do in the late game.
Yeah, it makes sense. Kinguin here will be looking for, of course, their top and mid, and they've given Niski counter mid. Could be the Nidalee. We saw this played by Broxer in Fnatic.
Yeah, I mean, like, Nidalee been played all over the place, or mainly in the western regions, a lot over in North America. So pretty safe again. Sevex, his Orianna wasn't the worst, but I felt like maybe he could play a little bit more aggressive. Now that Syndra's taken off the board, I wonder if Fnatic Academy go for an Azir? No, after the nerfs to Corki.
Oh, that's true, yeah. I forgot about that.
He doesn't get played anymore. I think Azir could be good, maybe.
Not going to be calm.
Yeah, I don't like talk about the
Cassio.
Hubbers. Not a fan of Cassio. I think that Ori often does very well during the laning phase, but perhaps Niski feels that it's fine because Sevex doesn't play that aggressively on Ori, which you have to do against the Cassio.
I'm really looking forward to see Lee Sin, Tabasco on this Nidalee, sorry, and into Amazing's Lee Sin, because Amazing's Lee Sin, he's always been known for being a relatively good, like, European Lee Sin. Tabasco we haven't seen on Nidalee yet, but is very aggressive in her playstyle and can do a lot of work in the early game. So I think this is Tabasco saying, look, I know I need to show up. Let me put myself on a champ that if I don't show up, we have nothing.
Well, he's going to have to look to play towards the top side of the map because it's a Renekton Nidalee. It's really all about having that push priority, getting yourself that early tower, maybe invading in the top side of the jungle, finding a pick onto Amazing. The bottom lane is going to suck for Team Kinguin because they really don't have any kind of push in that lane. Ashe Karma is so strong at being able to shove you underneath your turret and just make your life miserable. Yeah. There's so much poke coming out. There's like it's so difficult. It's really difficult to hard engage onto as well, especially around level 6 because the disengage tools from Ashe and the Karma. So it's going to be a really difficult bottom lane. But that's the place that Amazing and most likely to go for an early gank if he wants to in terms of the early tower. But that's why, because if you know your bottom's going to struggle, Team Kinguin has to invest time into the top side. And then for Fnatic, the mid lane is actually quite snowballed. It's pretty important. So they want to invest a lot more resources into the mid and bot side. So Amazing, he's going to have his work cut out for him this game. I think that he really needs to take advantage of the strong pushing lanes that he has in bottom and try and snowball something in mid.
Well, we are onto the Summoner's Rift for the final game of European Challenger Series, at least for today. If it's a draw, of course, we will have tiebreakers starting tomorrow. But with the way Fnatic played the last game, it looks more likely to be a 2-0 in their favor. Kinguin, coming back from a deficit here, need to try and equalize the scoreline. If you guys want to get involved, make sure you tweet at us, hashtag EUCS with hashtag KGN win if you think Kinguin are going to tie it up, and hashtag FNA win if you think Fnatic Academy are going to get through to the playoffs. Looks like Amazing and Tabasco are going to start top side of their jungles here. Which is interesting because you said Tabasco's probably going to focus more on the top lane and the mid lane, whereas this leads him down towards that bottom side of the map.
Well, just because he's standing there doesn't mean that he's going to start there, right? Like, I would like to see him start on Raptors, then go into red, then move top, do a full clear top side, get level 4, go back, and then go for an invade on top side and look for a possible dive as Ice Beaster starts to push him underneath his turret. Him, Kikis, when Ice Beaster pushes Kikis underneath his turret.
Oof.
Eat the spear, Mr.
That's only with 9 AP as well.
Like that, as a dude with no body armor, getting a spear in the face must like...
Maybe they're like nerf spears and they just go really quickly, which is what hurts.
What, so it goes through his shoulder rather than gets impaled into the shoulder?
No, I mean like it's one of those ones with the sponge tips. But because it's thrown with so much force,
I see.
It hurts quite a lot, but
like
doesn't actually impale you.
Right, I see. So you're saying that all of the violence in League of Legends is actually just children's toys.
It's fake news.
It's fake news, right, I see. So when we see Tabasco die or Amazing die, they're not actually.
It's not dying, it's
just an alternative fact, right?
Yeah, it's an alternative fact.
Right, got it. It's like in Pokemon when no one ever dies.
Yeah, everyone faints.
Yep.
Oh, you black out.
Blackout.
Clyde's going to get caught off towards the side here by D-Lord, trying to trade in, but as you said, push advantage is on the side of Rales and Clyde, although Clyde will struggle to push in when he's stunned up. So it's quite a bit of hurt, but still able to force Kinguin back a little bit. I really want to focus on Woolite this game. Last game, once again, we saw his positioning errors rear their ugly heads, and he got caught out a couple of times. Saw it last week as well. Jhin is low mobility. You know, it's a difficult AD carry to play around. You do have quite long range, but Mr. Rales showed us how well you can play it, even into something like Gragas. Here, it will be up to Woolite. And what we've seen regularly is Nautiluses, especially against Jins, just flash depth charge straight away and go for that aggressive play onto the enemy AD carry. Kikis will not be averse to doing that.
I feel like you're a fan of Jin.
I love Jin.
Talk a lot about him. I mean, that's great. Glad you're passionate about it. I love mid lane, and I love the fact that both junglers trading for these Raptor camps right now. Bit dangerous from Amazing, though, because look at how much damage Niski's actually taken. And I love just watch what Sebix is doing with the ball. What I want him to do is position the ball towards the back caster minions, because then every time Niski's short range walks up towards a creep, that's when you hit him in the face with the ball. That's when you start to try and hit him with the slow, get a basic attack, Thunderlord's proc, boom. That's when you win the trade, right? So, but right now he's playing too defensively with the ball. I want to see more aggression. Regardless, he's playing around the big minion wave, I suppose. Meanwhile, in the top lane, like, this is why I wasn't actually a massive fan of Tabasco starting topside, because, I mean, it backtracks to what you were saying. Like, now he's pathing towards bottom. I think it would have made more sense for him to start on the Raptors, do red, and then he could have taken advantage of the fact that Kikis was pushed under his tower early by the Renekton, and now he's missed that window. So we'll have to track where Tabasco continues with his jungle pathing. So we see a little bit more trading up top.
Yeah, Kikis just with that Titan's Wrath shield can trade really effectively into Ice Beast at these points. He's gone through all his corrupting potion pots though, but now does need to be a little bit more careful. It looks like Amazing's pathed up towards the top side, and actually going to be Amazing going for the top gank first instead of Tabasco, which is what we expected in picks and bans. Just clearing out vision, making sure that Tabasco wasn't around, and is pinged out by Kinguin. They know he's in the area, in the vicinity. Don't have an exact read on exactly where that Lee Sin is hiding.
Ooh, that's Amazing though. It looks like he's going for a gang.
Waiting for the stun.
Nice.
Just a kill. So
Clean.
easy, and that's bad. Like, in all honesty, that's a misstep from Ice Beast though.
I don't think it was. I think that was just a very good gank from Amazing. Now Tabasco.
Kikis, Amazing is there. Kikis flashes away, flash in by Tabasco, looking for the kill. One more auto.
Oh,
he also is a minion! And Tabasco gets chased away by Amazing. Flash in.
Disaster for Tabasco. He wanted to get the final order when he ends up hitting a minion. That couldn't have been any worse for the jungler of Team Kinguin. That is very unfortunate. But still, I want to praise. I feel like it's worth praising Amazing. I agree with you that the mistake, though, comes from Tabasco in his early jungle pathing. He should have tailored his path towards helping better set up Ice Beasto. Instead, it is Ice Beasto that has to deal with a big minion wave pushing into him, and then Amazing paths in a way where the moment he eats a small bit of CC, they can utilize the strength of early game Lee Sin to get themselves a very quick kill. And
I think this slice and dice is what I think is the mistake, because Ice Beasto goes aggressive onto Kikis underneath, like.
But I think it's fine. Like, I still think it's fine. Like, I think the issue is more about the fact that, like, he has no awareness of where Amazing is, and the likelihood of Amazing getting that play isn't necessarily high. Like, it's like you could argue it either way, right? But this is the big mistake. Hitting onto the minion rather than onto Kikis.
It looks like an attack move moment, doesn't it? He's attack moved towards Kikis and accidentally clicked on the minion instead.
Really unfortunate. But here we are. Amazing coming in for another dive. Only level 5 on Ice Beasto.
Shockwave used onto Niski in the mid lane as well. Sebix is winning out this lane. He's got a small CS advantage, keeps forcing them back, but Amazing and Kikis just spend so much time together. And I want to come back to exactly why this has happened. We talked about pathing, but Amazing had to make a conscious decision to stay top here. And it's not the obvious decision for him to make. Why has he made the decision to go top instead of looking towards facilitating his bottom lane, which is where we thought he'd focus?
Well, we know, like, the thing is, if he's going to focus somewhere, it's because he wants to get this early tower, right, or go for an early dive. He saw an opportunity top lane where he could just utilize the fact that Kikis is now so much stronger than Renekton because he has fallen behind early. A lot of armor has been picked up for Kikis, which means that he gets the priority push. He has level 6 over the level 5 of Ice Beasto, who also has no flash, which means that that top tower makes more sense because now you've actually got 2 pushing lanes for Fnatic rather than only 1 in the bottom. So just invest your resources up there rather than in the bottom half of the map because you know that that is more likely to push anyway. The fascinating thing is that Kinguin's bottom lane is actually winning out on this 2 versus 2. This is not what you would commonly expect from a Jhin and a Tahm Kench, because they don't really have that same sort of wave clear. If they're ever going to try and trade aggressively, they should always be trading into a big minion wave, which is why they usually lose out on that trade and why they have to concede on a lot of aggression, or at least trading back and forth. But that's not the case. Right now, it is Fnatic Academy's bottom lane that's being pushed back. Like, this map is very topsy-turvy right now. It's not going the way that you would initially expect.
Exactly, and I think a lot of that comes down to jungle pathing in the early game, and
like we keep talking about that. We need to start. Like,
yeah, I know. I need to move on to something else because like we've talked about it a lot today because of the way that the game is at the moment as well. A lot of it is focused on how well you play that early game and what vision you get. And
no,
if
but
you get first tower,
it's just about the lanes that you focus on, right? Like it is super obvious for Kinguin that this Renekton is going to try and push in the Nautilus early, right? So that should be the lane you try and capitalize on. You can't allow the Renekton to fall behind. So invest vision into the top side. You know that your bottom lane is going to struggle, so just accept that fact and play around the lanes that you can have an impact in. Try and get an early kill onto this Renekton. Guarantee that he's staying just ahead of the Nautilus so that he'll always have a pushing lane in the top half of the map. You can make up for the deficit in bottom lane through having a solid advantage in the top lane, and that you just kind of make these map trades, which is what Tabasco isn't doing. He's just doing a normal jungle route. He's not respecting what else he could do. But now Fnatic are being very proactive. They're moving all 5 members down into the mid, trying to get a bit of damage down onto this tower. They've got good control around the Drake.
That they have. And because they were losing bot lane as well, that meant that they wanted to force something a little bit earlier on. Get that Ashe and Karma away from the Tahm Kench and the Jhin as soon as they were coming up to that level 6 mark. And that's another interesting one, because Woolite and D-Lord, they've been consistent, but they haven't been amazing. Rales and Cly last game played incredibly well, but this game just haven't been able to get that push advantage down. Icebeastow's trading into Kikis, and you can see if Icebeastow had an extra kill or so, or it was a little bit further ahead or just a little bit less behind, you would be able to actually take out that Nautilus.
But he is winning out on these trades, which is still important for Icebeastow. If he's already losing to a Nautilus in terms of 1 versus 1, then the Renekton is effectively useless, which you really don't want only 10 minutes into the game. But I like the fact that Fnatic Academy are already grouping up. They've effectively abandoned the bottom lane. Maybe looking to use the Ashe arrow to try and find a pick.
How does Kinguin react to this, though? Because they keep bringing the Jhin Tahm up because D-Lord's not level 6 yet. Amaze's going to jump onto Tabasco, catches him out, flashed away by Tabasco. Does get himself underneath the turret. But yeah, how does Kinguin react? Because if the Ashe and Karma keep rotating up, at some point you have to realize that you lose pressure in the bottom lane by continually walking up. That 20 CS lead you have begins to dwindle. So do Kinguin just stay in bot and say, look, we'll try and get the turret down with Woolite and D-Lord?
I think you just leave Woolite bot. You allow the Lords to roam around the map. If Rales isn't in lane, then there's nothing you really have to be afraid of. If wherever the Ashe is where DeLord should be, because you're always playing around the possibility of that Ashe arrow coming out, and DeLord is great for being able to save you in that moment. But the issue for Kinguin is how do they force any plays, right? Because usually when you have Nidalee, you try and power farm and you take advantage of strong pushing lanes, then try and invade the enemy jungle. Is flashing from Cly.
Yeah, it's going to flash away as well. Sebix, however, dodges the petrifying gaze. Fnatic just tried to put pressure on. Ghost used by Nisqy and flash exhaust by Cly for the flash heal from Sebix.
I don't know about that play. I feel like that was highly unlikely to result in success, especially against an Orianna that has both the summoner spells up. But if it sets up for a dive later on, then it will definitely be worth it. For the time being, though, it won't net anything. Cly is very squishy, so he has to be careful when he has no summoner spells. Fortunately, though, okay, so this is the bright side of it. Because you force the Orianna back, it's a very swift movement now to the Drake, so it will result in an objective in favor of Fnatic Academy.
And they know Tabasco's on the other side of the map because they've got wards littered through the Kinguin jungle, so it's pretty easy for them to get that Ocean Drake. Strong early Drake for them as well. Keep that gold lead about the 1,000 gold mark. Kinguin once again falling behind ever so slightly, but there are sparks of hope. Woolite is 20 CS up over Mr. Rales. Mid lane is pretty even. Top lane is even-ish, although Icebeastow still not able to get those kills he desires.
It's actually just freezing the wave, which I think is fine, because Fnatic aren't really exerting much pressure anywhere else on the map. That early tower deficit that Kinguin were under actually kind of means very little at this point in the game. Icebeastow going aggressive.
Knows there's a blast plant around the corner, so we'll just pop his way away. Pop over the wall and gets himself out. Protocol used here in the bottom lane. Woolite's going in. D-Lord and Tabasco get onto Cly as well, and Cly, of course, no flash. Might get caught out. Deadly Flourish lands. Cly is low. D-Lord uses the thick skin. Tabasco gets the kill, and now Kinguin have 4 members. This is how you force a fight, VODS.
Love the play. D-Lord utilizing his ultimate to get the flank down onto both Cly and Rylez. Remember, Cly had used all his summoner spells in mid lane to try and force a kill onto Sebex. They're able to capitalize, so Kinguin doing some great stuff. I questioned how would they force these fights, and D-Lord has been a big facilitator in that. In game 1, he had the Malzahar. He was a big part of trying to find the picks onto Fnatic, just flashing in, trying to make stuff happen. And now he's doing it again, so props to D-Lord for doing what he can to keep Kinguin's hopes alive.
At the moment, Fnatic winning, of course, because they have 1 Ninja Tabi on Kickers. That seems to be the measure of how you win games these days. Which team has more Ninja Tabi, and which team has more red wards on the map. Let's have another look at this, because this is an unconventional way to start a game.
Yep. Opening with the curtain call to just get those slows in. Makes it easier for D-Lord to come in with the ultimate. And then he brings Tabasco, which is probably the best person to bring. You could have brought Sebex, but how much easier is it to stick to your target? You could debate for a while. Regardless, they get what they want, which is the kill. They don't get the tower just yet, but now when D-Lord... Oh, I think he's actually already used his ultimate. Nevertheless, now amazing. Sitting around the bottom half of the map. There's a lot of deep vision towards the bottom half of Kinguin's jungle. They could look for that bot tower, but it really hasn't actually taken that much damage.
Yeah, they've been winning the lane, but they haven't really been able to push towards that tower. And of course, Jhin isn't the best at taking towers too easily. I think the indicator for that Abyssal Voyage is actually messed around with the spectator client as well, so it should be up relatively soon. Niski and Amazing stepping forward into the jungle here to see what vision they can get down. And actually, Niski's going to go down towards the bottom lane. Fnatic trying to bring 4 members across. Sebex will realize that. Icebeasto trading into Kickers once again, uses the Kill the Meek on a lot. Kickers is going to try and get the damage down. Depth Charge knocks the Renekton up. He's trying to get away from those minions, but Icebeasto gets the Ruthless Predator down, goes for the kill. Dredge line is not enough to get Kickers out. Icebeasto with the chase, can't quite land it, but gets the autos in the end. That is the power of Renekton. Amazing will jump away from Kinguin here, dodging around the ball in the curtain call.
But the fact that Icebeasto is able to get a solo kill is massive for the side of Team Kinguin. They were struggling in the top side. Amazing got that first tower thanks to all the pressure that he was able to put down. And now Kickis is not able to hold his own against Icebeasto. Finally, we're starting to see where the Icebeasto of old was. This hyper-aggressive top laner that's always looking to make plays. And he's able to get himself a kill.
Petrifying Gaze once again not connecting from Niski there. Felt much more like a hopeful ultimate than anything more. But yes, as you say...
A laserly glare.
Yeah. Right, it's like slightly intimidating, perturbing leer there from the Cassiopeia.
His defense was lowered.
Oriana lets out a growl in response. But yes, as you say, incredibly encouraging stuff for Icebeasto. However, it's still pretty even in the top lane in terms of gold, and there's a lot of armor on Kickers. He's got Sunfire, he's got Ninja Tabi, he's now got a little bit of magic resist as well. Icebeasto with Black Cleaver may be able to work his way through that, but it's going to take him a while to take down the Nautilus in the top lane. Now, Tabasco as well this game. Looked a little bit stronger, still not quite the degree of impact we expect him to have, but overall, you have to say Kinguin are looking a lot better this game. Even gold, only a tower down, an Ocean Drake down, which isn't the biggest thing in the world, and a composition that scales relatively well, although perhaps not as well as Fnatic's.
I think that's something we should have a conversation about, because we haven't talked much about it.
You need to take me to one side. It's like, Medic, I need to have a serious conversation about
scaling.
This. Are you breaking up with me, VODS?
I felt that what we had was an open relationship, so I don't know if what we can consider calling...
Have you been casting with other people? You've been casting with other play-by-plays?
I mean, yeah.
I stick it in the Welsh family, okay? That's where I stay. You and Stress, okay? Two Welshmen. That's where it's my casting, like, extent.
Well, look, it's not my fault. South Africans are attractive.
Abyssal Voyage, Petrifying Gaze used here. Kinguin looking for the fight. Amazing's off towards the side. Good ult there from Niski to disengage that aggression.
This time it was a petrifying gaze.
Yeah.
He was able to lock up the duo lane of Kinguin. And and they were able to dissuade that engagement. But now we actually have a two-man engage. Watch out for the curtain call from Woolite.
TP is coming down. There's the curtain call. Mr. Rales trying to dodge around his Ice Beasto. He puts the dominance down. He's trying to be dominant. Clyde flashes away, and actually Fnatic might have been able to push back this aggression. Kikis used the TP, cancelled it out eventually. I think this will be Kinguin looking for a 4-man tower in this bottom lane, though. Kikis still pushing up towards the top side. Niski's in the mid, but the rest of Kinguin have gathered around and said, come on, guys, we need to start getting these objectives under our belts. This will push them into the gold lead as well.
All right, so Kinguin now trying to be a little bit more proactive. Rales and Clyde, they push up towards the bottom tower, and that's where Kinguin say, okay, let's try and force something, using the curtain call to be the main facilitator for starting off these engages. I think it's a great initiation tool, but now we see a collapse coming onto Sebex.
Does have flash, does have heals, does have Tabasco, but Amazing tries to stop it. The shockwave knocks him back. Sebex heals, eaten up by D-Lord. Amazing caught out as well, and now Woolite's looking for the kill. 4 members of Kinguin collapse on Amazing. They're looking for the tower still, and they will just about get it. Fnatic get the turret, they lose a man, but they still manage to get that gold under their belts.
Kinguin continue to answer the aggressive plays from Fnatic. These decisions from Fnatic are not in the wrong. The problem is that they don't have the adequate vision to guarantee their success. Notice that in the bottom half of the jungle, Kinguin were fully aware what Fnatic were trying to do, and you can see Lee Sin, he's running straight into Tabasco. He still thinks he can get there in time to get the kill onto Sebex, but the Lord is already here to provide support. Yes, Fnatic, they get themselves the turret, which will result in a net gain for them. But it is something that we are seeing more and more from Kinguin. They are responding faster and faster. They are preventing Fnatic from just walking all over them.
Comes down to vision once again. It's all about the light, VODS. At the moment, Kinguin are playing around the lights a lot better. They actually have vision on Niski and Clyde doing this as well, but I'm not sure they're going to be able to react in time. Now with Mr. Rales joining up, Fnatic will get their Cloud Drake. Second of the game for them. Kinguin, however, won't mind too much because, as we know, Cloud Drake is the ugly duckling of the family. Kicker's going to get caught out by Ice Beasto. We'll just get back underneath his tower pretty easily. It looks like Tabasco's going to join the fray as well. Flash away. Ice Beasto did go for the start of a dive and then realizes perhaps he doesn't want it. He's going to continue in, though. Here comes the damage. Tabasco gets the kill. Amazing now there, but Tabasco can jump around quite a lot. Dodges out the Sonic Wave. And Kinguin, the Tabasco Ice Beasto hype train is back in form. Abyssal Voyage in. Woolite and D-Lord join the fight. It's going to be a tower for Kinguin.
Tabasco doing so much more on the map. It took him a little while. 16 minutes in the game is where he really started to make his presence known. But finally, Kinguin are actually making things happen on the map. They've now extended their gold lead to 1.5k. This is much more of what we wanted to see. While they didn't have the strongest early game, the fact that they're able to now be the proactive players, be the ones that are now punishing the mispositions of Fnatic, is the shift that we originally were not seeing from them in game 1. And now Sebex going for the possible 1v1 against Niski. This point in the game is where things start to swing a little bit more in the favor of Niski. But regardless, it's someone that you always have to respect. That shockwave is always so potent.
And because Mr. Rales has had a little bit of time to free farm as well, he's got actually back up ahead of Woolite in terms of CS. Now, Woolite does have the Edge of Night in the Yumus, getting that lethality under his belt. We are on 7.4, so they're not quite as much, and obviously not the extra stats coming out from those items, but still with a Jhin, if you can catch a couple of those curse and call shots onto a squishy member, you melt through them incredibly quickly.
And now, Dragon unavailable. Both teams just setting back up around the lanes, trying to get them all pushing out, using this to then get some vision back on the board. The mid lane is still up for Fnatic. That'll be the primary target for Kinguin. But well, he has to be careful. Right, he's got the support of Sebex. That arrow from Rales, we're yet to see it because they throw it out down mid.
Maybe looking for Sebex, hasn't got Summoners back up just quite yet. There it comes, but D-Lord's just there, can devour straight away. TP in behind them, and they realize that D-Lord was going to try and get Sebex out. Shockwave onto Rales and Clyde. Here comes the curtain call. Kinguin with only 3 members at the moment. Tabasco there. Ice Beasto TP's in. He's in the midst of 5 members. 1 shot down. Tabasco's on a killing spree. He's looking for more. Chasing into Niski, and Fnatic Academy can't quite get there in time. Great play by Kinguin to turn Fnatic's engage around.
It is Fnatic that try to force the fight. They think they pull Sebex out of position, but again, DeLord being the hero, keeping his mid laner alive, is what's enabling Kinguin to come out ahead time and time again. 5-2 is the kill score now to Kinguin. things looked dire after their game 1, but Kinguin are coming back with a statement 22 minutes into game 2.
And this is what Hachi was talking about. He said these players are motivated to beat the best at the highest stage. This is the type of moral fortitude you need to have if you're going to play up against these big teams, if you're going to get to playoffs, if you're going to beat Schalke, beat Origin, beat Roccat. Kinguin are fighting for their lives, and Sebek's caught up once again. Delord takes him away. Icebeasto is chained up. Clyde, Shockwave flashed away. Amazing jumps to the side as well. Kinguin still looking for that mid lane tower, can't quite get it.
But look at Clyde, he is very low walleye. He's going for the snipe.
Deadly flourish, deadly Clyde.
That will be overall 2 kills going in favor of Kinguin. They don't get themselves the mid-tier 1, but a lot of members from Fnatic have actually been forced back. Do they want to try and push this? Both Sebek and Woolite are here.
That they are. They can push in quite quickly. Mr. Roll is trying to defend. Even with the Rangers focus, won't be able to push off 4 members of Kinguin. And I was actually looking at that last fight and wondering, as we get later into this game, Kinguin's siege is not the strongest in the world, and there's a lot of wave play coming out from Fnatic Academy. So how do Kinguin now approach moving to this second tier of towers instead of just rotating around the first tier?
Well, Kinguin need to start playing around this Baron as a primary objective, because you are correct in their ability to start fights, their ability to dive is not the strongest. The deadly flourish, not the deadly flourish, the ultimate from Jhin, the curtain call, will not be enough to just zone Fnatic away from the tower. So their best bet is to get good vision around the top side of the jungle. Use the Dragon or the Baron, they could use the Dragon as well, to draw Fnatic out from the enemy base. Have Icebeasto TP flank in from behind Fnatic, or use the Lord to bring Renekton in from behind. That way, Fnatic get collapsed on from 2 sides, and that's the only reliable way in which they're going to be able to find a fight. But look at this now. You can see Delord setting up. He's looking to bring Renekton.
Here comes the curtain call, and Abyssal Voyage into the backline. Rallis tries to flash away. Renekton gets the stun. Ruthless Predator, and a ruthless kill as Mr. Rallis goes down to Woolite. Clyde chased off towards the side. Kinguin don't have a minion wave here at the moment. Tabasco's going to chase onto Clyde. Blast goes straight into the spear. Amazing's looking for the flank though, as is Nautilus. Kikis and Amazing trying to show us their patented combo. Sebex uses the heal early on. Fnatic still have tools in this fight. They've still got Dragon's Rage. They've still got Petrifying Gaze. They've still got the Depth Charge. They've still got Hope. They've still got the chance to stop Kinguin pushing in. Now, once again, they continue forward. Amazing stopping the next wave from coming in, and this is probably the sign that Kinguin need to back away. Kikis is looking for it. He's got Flash. Amazing's off towards the flank. I think Kinguin are just going to retreat for the time being.
Oh, they have the minion wave. They want to commit.
Once again, they step forward. Karma trying to clear it out. Amazing still on their flank. I'm not sure they realize he's there. Kick is caught out with the flourish, but the clear from Niski is strong. Tabasco hit up with the Sonic Wave, chasing onto Amazing now. Amazing jumps away. He will force Kinguin back. Tabasco's going to be eaten up across the wall. Kinguin unable to get the tower just quite yet.
Back and forth a lot from both Kinguin and Fnatic. Now Kinguin, they want to try and push mid, but Kikis goes in.
Dredgeline lands onto a minion. Deadly flourish onto Kikis. Amazing's on D-Lord. Low mana for a few of the Kinguin members here. Niski still full. Mr. Rollins has the ammo up in just a second.
Look at bot lane.
Oh, the counter push, it's symmetry across the map as the team split. It's straight down the middle. Now, Fnatic Academy have said, okay, take our tower. We'll take the Drake. It's their second Ocean. Is this trade worth it? Kinguin are gonna get the turret.
Kinguin, their eyes are on this inner tower from Fnatic. They don't have the minion waves, so they don't want to commit just yet, but they definitely have the better positioning. I don't think that Fnatic will be able to stop this tower from going out.
Kinguin just go up towards the top side after they get this. Should be able to get out of this pretty
Here comes
safe.
the TP.
TP's coming in. Arrow onto D-Lord, not the target you want. Amazing there onto Sebex. TP in by Kikis. He lands the hook onto the Shockwave. And here comes Sebex. Oriana trying to do stuff. Shockwave doesn't connect. Icebeasto there, exhausted out. Miasma comes down. He's going to get protected up though. And Kinguin might actually be able to disengage as they bring themselves down away from Fnatic. And they escape the Fnatic engage.
But now Fnatic have the better positioning in mid lane. How are Kinguin going to be able to re-engage? Well, maybe that's an effective way. Just hit them with a spear and that'll force them back. So finally, what an incredibly long, extended back and forth. Remember, this all started when Kinguin just wanted that mid-tier 1 tower. This all stems from back then because Kinguin, it was just back and forth, and Fnatic couldn't find a proper engage. Kinguin, they didn't even want to fight. They just wanted the tower. But it is Kinguin that come out ahead overall. Yes, they ended up losing the Dragon, and Fnatic Academy definitely have a lot under their belt. But Kinguin now have the tower lead. They have the gold lead. they are making a statement game against this Fnatic squad.
And Tabasco is making a statement in and of himself. He's 2 levels above amazing. He's been involved in 4 of his team's kills. He's ahead on CS, and he is playing an absolute blinder on this Nidalee. Not a champion we see too commonly, although we see it from time to time nowadays, especially when we have other jungle bans come out. Now, Kinguin have set up vision once again around the Baron. There's a couple of wards around they need to clear out, and they do have the Oracle's alteration on Tabasco.
For those wondering, a blinder is a good thing.
Oh,
for
yes.
a non-English speaker. It's all right, a bit of slang going in there, absolutely fine. But as you rightly said, vision now for Kinguin. We talked a lot about this. I'm really happy that we actually saw earlier on something we didn't get to talk about, was the way in which Kinguin took that tower, or the setup, where you have the Tahm Kench ultimate, bring the Renekton in from a flank so that he can very easily get onto the back line. Really nice to see from Kinguin. Really good utilization of the tools that they have. Now, amazing.
Has to jump away. He was trying to step forward and keep his vision control of that bush, but Kinguin very happy just to move it ahead. Kikis doesn't have teleport here, and Kinguin will know that, so they could decide.
Well, they should know that.
If they don't, they'll be very confused as to how Kikis got behind them earlier on.
Well, that's very true.
However, Fnatic force it down mid, which allows Kikis the time to join up with the team, meaning that Icebeasto might actually look down towards bot here to try and push this up and use the TP of his own. Fnatic with the pressure in mid now can step up and get vision
this
control.
is what I'm talking. This is where I want to see a fight, because now Fnatic, all they've done is push mid, and they've reclaimed all of the vision that Kinguin have just set up for themselves. There was zero contestation. There was nothing from Kinguin to sit there and say, look, we've just set up all this vision. We do not want you to have it. And instead, let's just allow Fnatic to reclaim full control. That's what I want to see fights over, you see. That's where teams should be investing, being like, no, I do not want you to deny all this vision away from me.
So my O's there. Firstly, Tabasco was trying to bring the red buff around so that Deadly Flourish could kill it. It resets, and then he gets it with Liandry's afterwards as well. So it's not the best thing. It's not the end of the world. You know, Jhin with red buff isn't as great as something like Caitlyn with red buff, but still, you want your red buff when you're AD carry 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. I want red buff right now.
You're a mid laner, mate.
Yeah, and I
Do you just want it for the health regeneration?
You should play more Ivern so I can have all the buffs.
Ivern support.
Yeah, that's fine. As long as I get the buffs, that's all that matters.
Kinguin going to play around this vision game once again. Mr. Wallace is waiting. D-Lord actually stepped a little bit forward here, but because they denied some vision, meant they didn't know where the rest of Kinguin were. And I like this from Kinguin. They're now 2,000 gold ahead with 30 minutes in. They haven't got any dragons under their belt, which will be a sore spot for them, but they do have a tower advantage and a gold lead.
But if you're Fnatic, the actual win conditions for you are very promising. You still have good scaling with your composition. You have a lot of tools to engage, especially with the Ashe, the Karma follow-up, the flanking from Kikis. His teleport is about to come back up. And so Fnatic, let's see them try and force a fight. Let's see them try and get these picks down onto Kinguin. There are 0 Quicksilver Sashes out on the side of Kinguin. If the engage comes out from Rales, it should be very easy for someone like Kikis to get a clean follow-up. But it's very difficult for Fnatic Academy to try and contest this vision right now. They are just conceding a lot of the jungle that they had just reclaimed back for themselves.
And also, you do have D-Lord, who's played incredibly well on this Tahm Kench. So even if you haven't got a QSS, D-Lord can devour you up. You've got an Edge of Night on Woolite as well, which, although is on a slightly longer cooldown now, still has quite a big effect. And it looks like, I was going to say it was going to be a Zhonya's from Tabasco, but I think he's just sitting on the Seekers and will be going Iceborne Gauntlet next for his itemization.
It looked like that it was on the cards for him, but right now not quite the priority. Now here comes the curtain call.
And Abyssal Voyage in as well. Mr. Rales is the target. The slow does get himself away. It's quite a lot used. 2 ultimates just for Mr. Rales to run out of the side.
So this again was the engage trying to come out from Kinguin. This time though, it wasn't as effective. Renekton's still struggling to close the gap against the Karma. Dragon going to be spawning. Now, this is actually very good for Fnatic because they realize that multiple members of Kinguin are towards the bottom side of the map. They could look to either rush the Baron or just get very solid vision control. The Scuttle Crab is up. They're looking to rush it.
And they can rush it with the Ashe, with the Cass, and here come Kinguin. Icebeasto needs the TP in. There's a ward. There's the TP. spear lands on Cly. He's low. Redemption used. Tabasco looking for the steal. He jumps in. Can he get it? Kinguin don't. Fnatic do. Kinguin now going for the fight. Amazing chase up towards the side. He's survived somehow. Tabasco's going to jump the pit. Doesn't land it. Amazing's dead. Rales doesn't quite get caught up with the deadly flourish. Icebeasto wants to continue this fight, but he's facing up 4 members of Fnatic. Woolite finally joins the fray. No deadly flourish. No curtain call. No ability for Kinguin to collapse.
But Fnatic play this beautifully. They get themselves the Baron. They only lose a single member, and that could have been catastrophe for them. That could have been the game-ending play, but they make it work. They are swift with their decision-making, and they have closed the gap significantly in terms of goal. Look at this, like, this is Kinguin ready to start a fight. I feel like Sebex, his focus should be on the Baron. Yes, that is a great shockwave onto 2 key members, but the Baron should be your priority. Just use that in combination with your jungler to steal it away. He ends up not doing that, and then look, Fnatic, they can just run away.
And they get the Drake.
Drake too. Like, Fnatic, my word, that was fantastic.
It's objective play. You know you can be 8 kills to 2 down and still be within 1,000 gold because you have extra dragons, extra barons, extra CS across the board, and their scaling composition that we talked about earlier on is coming online bit by bit. You've got a 4-item Cassio, you've got a 2 and a bit item Ashe, you've got a Kickit, who, although hasn't done a huge amount of damage this game, is incredibly tanky with 3 completed items. And now Lee's got his Maw and his Dead Man's Plate, and you've got the Baron buff pushing in. Kinguin have to search for a way to defend this Fnatic advance.
Well, they do have a lot of poke in their kit. You always have to respect the ball. We saw Sebex with a great use of the ball early on in game 1. Where if ever so slight overstep, that shockwave will punish you hard. Look, no flash on top of Cly. Niski has no summoner spells either. Level 17 that Cassio though, 0-0-0 for the mid laner of Fnatic Academy. But for now, Kinguin hold on from the siege. Amazing, looking for a flank to try and zone away the 3-man wave clear unit.
This is where experience really pays dividends as well. Having been in this situation time and time again. Mr. Rales looking for the arrow, gonna land it. Woolite, Edge of Night there straight away. Stops it in its tracks, but they might go for the turret. Engage doesn't work. Once again, Kinguin just reset underneath their tower, slowly getting chipped away.
That Edge of Night could not have been better for Kinguin. It doesn't land onto Woolite. You can see that Fnatic, they wanted to go for that dive. They were not quite able to do it. Now, red buff going onto Icebeasto will be great in order for him to stick to his targets. Fnatic haven't been able to properly utilize this Baron buff. It will be running out in about 30 seconds. And this is fine for Kinguin. The fact that they didn't lose anything off the back of this will mean that the game returns to neutrality. But Fnatic Academy can be pleased because it's an objective taken off the map, right? It's now something that they don't have to worry about that Kinguin might try and rush. And
Kinguin will be incredibly worried about that Elder Drake because if they lose it, they're playing against a 4-dragon Elder. And I'm pretty sure it'll be spawning about the same time as the Baron as well. So it's quite a high possibility that we will see a dilemma of sorts, a crossroads that Kinguin have to cross once again. And it is where experience starts to really matter. Fnatic Academy have so many players who've been in this sort of position before. I mean, look at Amazing. He came up with Origin through the Challenger Series. The rest of their team have been LCS level or better. D-Law's coming in with the Abyssal Voyage mid. Looking for the engage onto Rales. Icebeasto there. He's stunned up with the gaze. Rales up towards the back, trying to be eaten up. The redemption comes out. D-Law with the thick skin, trying to keep himself alive, but Icebeasto's low and Kickis is still that front line. Now, Woolite and the rest of the crew trying to get in. The shockwave only lands onto Kickis. D-Law's dead. Rales low though up towards the back line. Fnatic continue their engage onto Kinguin. Icebeasto jumps onto Niski. Tabasco gets in.
Gone.
There's the kill. Niski's gone. 1-for-1 trade. At the moment, it's support for mid laner, and now Rales is on the wrong side of the fight. Sebet's going to re-engage. Icebeasto slices and dices across the wall. Once again, the spear does not connect. Fnatic continue to push mid. They've got no Baron, but that tower has a minion wave in front of it. Tabasco still continues in. Kickis onto Sebex. Amazing there as well. They're going to try and take down the Orianna, but they don't realize that Icebeasto's on their back line. Tabasco gets taken out. Woolite hooked in as well. He will trade into Kickis. One more auto's all he needs, but the Titan's Wrath shield is just too darn big. And with Fnatic Amazing just around the corner, Woolite realizes he cannot go any further.
Now Woolite, that reload time is what prevented him from being able to get that final kill, but still Kinguin I believe they ended up losing out overall. I'm not entirely sure if Clyde died and then respawned and came back.
Clyde stayed alive. It was 3 for 2.
3 for 2 in favor of Fnatic Academy then. But my word, what a close exchange. It is actually Kinguin that tried to force the engage. The problem you have with this engagement is that it's too far away for Sebix to reliably follow up with something like a Shockwave. So he holds onto it for a very long time once the team is already forced to start disengaging. That means that he can't get an effective ultimate off, and because he doesn't have Zhonya's, it becomes very difficult for him to turn around. But now Niski, he gets greedy. He wants to try and collapse onto Sebix, and he's not quite able to do it. Now, here you think Fnatic, they have priority in mid. This is very easy for them to just push down, work their way towards the tower. Instead, they choose to go for a fight, and this is where they split up. Ice Beasto, he's going to come in for a flank, and they're able to get the lockdown onto Rales. And this fight ends up fine for Fnatic Academy because they kill the main damage dealer in Sebix. Warlight doesn't get any additional kills. The reload here not being quite enough
one more auto
to get the
he would have
reset.
needed.
Yep, but Kinguin overall, demonstrating that they are willing to fight, they're willing to try and force these plays, but it is so difficult, so back and forth, so much kiting from either side, making it difficult for really either team to get a solid teamfight win.
But we have said Fnatic have the scaling comp. They've got the Casio, they've got the Ashe.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's not like Orianna doesn't scale, right? Like, Nidalee's value in teamfights is definitely harder to make the most out of, but she has a lot of late game damage too. We're seeing more and more these Jhin crits just being so effective, going for the Infinity Edge, a bit of a hybrid build between lethality and crit. And it's not the best against tanks, but it's definitely better. But against squishies, it's disgusting. Like, if he gets even remotely close to Niski or Morales, they will disappear. So it is, I definitely agree that Fnatic have the slightly stronger late game composition because they have a very solid frontline tank with a lot of utility. Ashe and Casio are just so good, especially around the 4-item mark. But that's not to say that it is just suddenly won by Fnatic because they have a stronger, quote-unquote, late-game team. And the levels are the big thing. Just look at the differences, right? 18-18, 17-17, 15-16 in the 80 carries. Elder Dragon now being started. Let's see if Kinguin can answer.
Still get melted by Fnatic. They've got the Twin Fangs going down, and it's almost dead by the time they get there. It's just gone. Doesn't get answered at all, and now that's a 2-minute timer that Fnatic just have total dominance on the map. Kinguin cannot do anything, really, for the next 2 minutes.
Very swift from Fnatic again. Very similar to their Baron play. They see the window of opportunity and they take it. No hesitation. They know they have the damage. Their ability to take down these neutral monsters is very strong. And now with the Elder Dragon, remember, they have 4 dragons already under their belt, and their eyes are on that Baron.
Let's do it so fast. They've started it up, and Kinguin have just given it up. It's gone. Like, Kinguin have given this up. No one's around it. They've just pushed out the waves. Fnatic had vision control for a while. In that river, they were pushing further up, and Kinguin just didn't react quickly enough to a couple of pushes.
Very clean from Fnatic. Nothing but praise. They utilized good vision in the bottom. They took the tower, took the Drake, used the Drake to take the Baron. Now, Kinguin, their backs are against the wall. They have to fight. They have to stop Fnatic. Can Kinguin keep their hopes alive, or will they lose?
TP in by Kickers. The inhibitor tower already down to half. Mr. Rutledge will melt through that one. One down. Kinguin just back straight away. They know they don't want to fight the Elder. They know they don't want to fight the Baron. They lose an inhibitor for it. Their waves are pushing in the side lanes, though, so perhaps they can try and get something on the backswing.
So this is why Kinguin conceded. They realized that even if we lose this mid inhibitor, Fnatic cannot get anything else because we have a big minion wave top, we have a big minion wave bot. So we know that they're not going to quickly transition over to the bottom inhibitor or the top inhibitor. Let's just concede this, wait for the buffs to wear out, and then we'll use that as a window to try and force another fight. Maybe we can win that and then close out the game.
Elder Drake 3/4 done. The problem for Kinguin is that it's do or die, and you know every player on that team will know that one mistake is all it takes. From anyone, really. One person getting caught out, Sebix or Woolite, who has consistently missed positions in team fights. If either of them are dead early on in the fight, they're just gone. And there's such big potential from Fnatic Academy. Fnatic, their team, their players have been in this sort of situation so many more times. Kinguin are the novices when it comes to playing for these playoff positions, but they will not go down without a fight.
Bear in mind, every single summoner spell is available for both teams. The double buff is still up for Fnatic Academy. The fear of those spears is ever looming for Fnatic, because if Tabasco can hit even a single one, it will be a large chunk of your HP gone. But Kinguin are running out of time. They have to make a decision right now.
Here comes the push. Icebeasto actually back at Fountain for the start of this. Mr. Rollis dodges out. Kikis takes quite a lot of hurt there, as he was really the only one to step up, and continuously spears rain down from the side. Mid lane is pushing though. Super's coming in for Fnatic. This is a waiting game for them.
They don't have the strongest wave clear. Warlight being forced to try and shred through this minion wave as much as he can, but look at the top side, you see another big minion wave. I wonder if Fnatic may very well be the team to try and force something. Look at Rales, there's the arrow.
Arrow misses, however Fnatic go in, Mantled Inspire on everyone, Sebek's eaten up. Kikis the front line, here come Kinguin trying to turn this one around, Redemption used, Kikis is low, Tabasco jumps in onto Rales, the curtains open up, and Kinguin try and hold on to the fight, the shockwave onto two, amazing, dodges out, Kinguin have held onto their inhibitor tower, and Kikis caught out once again, the spear doesn't connect, but the ball does. Kinguin don't want to go any further.
And no one dies! Fnatic, they still have the Baron empowered minions. They're still making their way into the enemy base. There is no mana on a lot of the members of Team Kinguin, and Fnatic going for the tower.
That the Icebeaster's going to try and stop Kikis, but he's taken low, slicing and dicing and working his way around. D-Lord hooked in, he's dead. Kikis gets onto Sebex as well, he still has GA. Kick onto Tabasco, knocks him back, he's dead. Two members of Kinguin have gone down. Icebeaster trying to do what he can, but it's just not enough. And Kinguin are going to fall to Fnatic. They get a triple on Niski. They get 4 kills for none. Fnatic are going to the playoffs.
Fnatic do not give up. They know they have the numbers advantage. They know they have the ultimate advantage. And with the super minions, they're going to close out this game.
After a hard fight from Kinguin, Fnatic will go 2-0 and get themselves that spot in the playoffs.
Ooh, what a game. Whew. Mad props to Fnatic. They made some fantastic decisions towards the end of that game. Going straight towards, they got that bot tower, they went straight to Elder, they went up towards the Baron, and it was just clean decisiveness that we saw from them throughout the game. Like the fact that they were able to get that Baron early on, kept their hopes alive. Kinguin were then forced to play on the back foot after that initial Baron. Fnatic don't make any use of it, but then they do the same play again. And Fnatic just demonstrated the difference in experience, the ability for them to make that call and go, we're going to go for this, we're going to take it, we're going to run away. And I just feel bad for Kinguin, because I felt like that they were in that early deficit. They fought hard to come back into the game. They really did try their very best, but it just was not enough. And now Fnatic Academy, they've solidified themselves a spot into the playoffs.
But sometimes it takes losses like that to form you as a team. You know, diamonds are made through pressure. And this Kinguin team do look like a team that could be incredibly strong in Challenger Series for splits to come. They just need a split or two to actually work out some of the kinks and work out exactly how their strategy is gonna play out. So lots of credit to them. The way they played that mid game was so much better than we've seen them play throughout the rest of the split. It's a sad moment that we have to see anyone get knocked out, but it does happen, and Fnatic were better on the day.
And I love the way in which they utilized the Tahm Kench ultimate with the Renekton to bring him in from the flank. The way in which they were utilizing the Nidalee to just sit on the side throughout those spears, force a lot of Fnatic's pushes back onto them. Like, it was just, there were so many great things from the side of Kinguin. The fact that Icebeasto gets a solo kill into Kikis after his dominant performance throughout this split. Like, there were so many little highlight moments, like Jhin and Tahm Kench winning that matchup when they really shouldn't. Like, nothing but praise to Team Kinguin. Really want to highlight that they did, you know, for a final battle, that was definitely commendable from Team Kinguin. I felt like they really did try their very best, but it was still Fnatic. They had the better understanding of macro, they had the better understanding of how to utilize the vision, and they were the superior team in this series.
And even though we thought it was going to be tiebreakers o'clock, one of our 6 possibilities out of 27 where there were no tiebreakers to sort out is what has occurred today. With the Challenger Series over, here are your playoff contenders. It's going to be Schalke, of course, in first place. They were so strong. Fnatic Academy and Paris Saint-Germain tie second, but Fnatic have the head-to-head from week 1, so they take that second spot. And Misfits Academy round us out in 4th. So Millennium and Kinguin.
That does mean Millennium and Kinguin, they will have... they might have a tiebreaker off stream. Regardless, they both end up having to qualify. They're going to have to re-qualify for the Challenger Series. For Summer, Paris Saint-Germain and Fnatic will be going up in one semi-final, and Misfits Academy will have to have their rematch against Schalke. Very unfortunate for them. I'm sure that they will be preparing hard because that will be a tough semi-final. And the winner of those semi-finals will be moving up into the promotion tournament. So a lot of exciting stuff to come. But that's not going to be happening for a while.
No, well, we've got a break for 2 weeks before we kick off the semi-finals, where 2 teams will face off against each other and secure their place in the European LCS promotion tournament. At the moment, you have to think Schalke are there. Fnatic and PSG. PSG.
That's going to be an exciting semi-final.
In my opinion, I think I've seen more improvement from PSG, but we've also had less time to see amazing and kickers play for Fnatic.
And I think that with a little bit of time, Fnatic will come in, clean up some of the issues that we did see this game, and I think that's going to be a really exciting semi-final. I think we're going to have a lot of close games.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of close games, as we have had across the entirety of the split. But that's all from us for now. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you back here again in 2 weeks' time as the journey to the European LCS promotion tournament continues. Good night. Battles join the break. Here, up towards the top side, will continue to sustain up through the smite. White Knight onto Steel, though. First blood for him. Mimic getting traded on here by White Knight, who goes aggressive with the Ruthless Predator. Even going underneath the tower. Mimic puts the Equalizer down. Has White Knight overstepped? No flash for him. Hexdrinker comes out, but he just can't get the kill. And Mimic takes him out.
A lot of ultimates are coming off cooldown, though.
Battle over the Baron. White Knight flashes in onto Pretty. Baron goes down. Rek'Sai gets it. White Knight into GA. Mimic in the front line's dead. And now PSG can look for the re-engage. They got the Baron. They got a kill. White Knight jumping across the wall. Ace in the hole onto Benoit. Gets Pretty instead. He tanks it up. PSG answer with a resounding yes. They're going to take game 1 over Millennium and get themselves closer to those playoffs.
Back to the game. Mimic going for a dive top.
White Knight getting dived by Mimic and Steel. The keeper's verdict knocks him away. Steel gonna look for it though, gets knocked into the wall, and he's
White Knight
gonna go down. White Knight with the outplay.
Here they come.
Pinoy on the flank, 5,000 HP on the Baron. Steel a level behind, will look for the smite. Fight. White Knight puts the verdict down, but it's not guilty at the moment. The smite comes down, and Millennium take the Baron. They get so much off this push.
Exactly what PSG needed
Pinoy!
to do.
Oh, he just about survived with a flash in by Blank. They have come to life at exactly the right moment, and they will beat Millennium 2-0. Well, we are on to the Summoners Rift for our second series of the day. Schalke 04 versus Misfits Academy.
Oh, he needs to be careful because here comes
Cocoon
Lulax.
Oh, right, okay. That's just disappointing because I can continue to try and pressure this out. Brightstalker's caught though, and he's just dead as Upset takes him down. This is a dirty fight underneath the turret for Schalke. Vander's low, they get the kill on towards Brightstalker. Jisoo's gonna die as well, but Selfie's hooked in. Dream's doing work on this Thresh, but just can't take the kills down. It was an incredibly dirty dive, but Schalke managed to take out. That was dumb.
Oops.
They have been dominant, they have been devastating, and they have demolished Misfits Academy to go 1-0 up. Lulax is coming towards mid, trying to punish KOZQ, who hasn't got the exhaust, of course. Cocoon does land. KOZQ was indecisive as to where he was going, and Selfie will follow him in. Brightstalker comes in for the counter gank, trying to get a kill on towards Selfie, who's just trading into him. Brightstalker will go down. Selfie gets the double. Brightstalker caught off on the wrong side of his team, but so is Lulax. Does get the kill. KOZQ oversteps. The Zhonya's comes out. Vander easing up. Jisoo up towards the side. Dreams is going to go down as well. Schalke have collapsed perfectly onto Misfits. The second Nexus tower goes down. Lulax does not give a damn as he goes down into the GA as well. Eventually, Schalke will decide to end the game. Yuki trying to do what he can to hold out some dignity here, but he gets deathmarked and taken down as well by Selfie. The Nexus goes down. Schalke 2-0.
He felt the dive was coming top because there was a big minion wave.
Oh, Malefic Vision, Sebex there, and that's the kill. First blood to Basker.
Good.
Gonna go in for Sebex back. Amazing goes in, there's the shockwave. Deadly Flourish lands, and the Curtain Core comes down. Sebex tags up 1, flashes the 2nd, doesn't dodge the 3rd. Can he dodge the 4th? No, he can't. 4 shots, and another kill for Ron. Fnatic have just set up in a bush. And here comes the hook onto Icebeasto. Deadly Flourish down on him as well. He tries to get away. Depth charge onto Sebex. The curtain call opens up and Sebex is isolated. Flash away from the shockwave by Niski. Woolite's dead. It's a double for the Jin. Kick is tanking up Baron once again. Tabasco's looking for it. The arrow onto Niski. Shut down from downtown. The Baron is still on the cards. Rales almost goes down to the end of the line, but it's the end of the line for Icebeasto. He's chommed up and he's taken down by Fnatic. Fnatic turn their eyes to the Nexus and turn their eyes to the playoffs. They win 1-0 versus Kinguin.
I think that was just a very good gank from Amazing now. Tabasco.
Kikis, Amazing is there. Kikis flashes away, flash in by Tabasco, looking for the kill. One more auto.
Oh,
he autos a minion! And Tabasco gets chased away by Amazing. Flash in.
Disaster. But look at Clyde. He is very low walleye. He's going for the snipe.
Deadly flourish, deadly Clyde. Tabasco still continues in. Kikis onto Sebex. Amazing there as well. They're going to try and take down the Orianna, but they don't realize that Ice Beastow's on their backline. Tabasco gets taken out. Woolite hooked in as well. He will trade into Kikis. One more auto's all he needs, but the Titan's Wrath Shield is just too darn big. After a hard fight from Kinguin, Fnatic will go 2-0 and get themselves that spot in the playoffs.